What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Reseller Life. My name is John, and I have 25 items that I have sold in the last 2 to 3 days on eBay for you. If y'all haven't seen or heard or listened to my videos before, I'm a full-time reseller. I do all my reselling online on eBay, and what I'm going to do is go over the 25 items I selected out of the items I've sold in the last few days. I'm going to tell you where I got them, what I paid for them, and what they sold for, and how long it took me to sell them. So let's get right into it with item number one, which is a pair of American Eagle Relaxed Fit denim jeans, men's, size 33-30. These I got at our local bins. Bins meaning our Goodwill outlet. Goodwill outlet is a place where Goodwill sends all their items that don't sell for their ridiculous prices, so they end up selling them by the pound at their outlets. The way they do it is they just throw everything into these big bins, and people rummage through it and try to basically pick out any of the good stuff. And so for short, we just call them the bins. So at our bins, clothing is sold for $1.79 a pound, and these weigh just over a pound, so I paid about $2 for them, and they took roughly 2 months to sell for $11.50 was the sell price. The buyers also paid $7.25 for shipping. So total they sold for about $20. Overall, we netted, after all costs, we netted about $6 to $7 on it. All right, next up is an RCA digital alarm clock radio. There's nothing really fancy about this. RCA is not really that great of a brand, but I always pick up alarm clocks. I really like the old mid-century modern ones, the old little woody looking ones. Alarm clocks as a whole. Alarm clocks are great sellers. People are still looking for them. The majority of us just use our cell phones for alarm clocks these days, but there's still a lot of people from that alarm clock era that still use alarm clocks. Me personally, I like to be woken up to my more morning radio station, so I personally use an alarm clock. I use my cell phone, but I also use an alarm clock as a backup. But definitely look out for alarm clocks. They are good sellers. I believe I got this one at the bins. They sell this under textiles. Textiles are 89 cents a pound, so I probably paid just about $2 for it. It took probably about 3 months to sell and ended up selling for $10.06. Down here, you'll notice that it says $7.90 shipping. That is not the accurate shipping price. That would be how much it would cost to ship it to myself, which is like the closest location you can possibly get. And rates are dependent by size, weight, and location. So the reason why I think this took so long to sell, because it was a little bulkier and heavier, so shipping on this was about $16. So they paid $26 altogether for it. So if I would have sold it a little closer, maybe I'm in Arizona, so if I would have sold it in Arizona or California, New Mexico, something like that, I probably would have got closer to $20 for it. But it ended up selling for $10. We only paid about $2 for it, so we still made some money. Next up, this is the base or motor of a Cuisinart food processor. Definitely keep an eye out for Cuisinart food processors. The blenders aren't quite as good, but the food processors themselves are fantastic. I don't ever really sell them as a whole. I typically part them out. There's a lot of pieces to these things. There's a lot of different blades to them, and they sell phenomenal. And I typically get these from yard sales or thrift stores or flea market, and I don't know if I've ever paid more than $10 for one, although I would. I think I would probably pay up to $20 or maybe even $25 for them, because just the initial metal blade itself sells for about $20. The bases here, they typically sell for more than this. You can get up to about $45 for them, but they are very heavy. This base is probably about 12 pounds, and it's an awkward shape with this tip on top. It makes the box just about 12 by 12 by 10, which is a large box going at, with all the padding you need to put in there and everything like that. It's going to be about 15 pounds on top. So with the size and the weight, this was, I think they paid $35 to ship it, and then they paid $18 on top of it. This one itself, though, I think I got at the flea market. It didn't come with all the blades. It did have the one metal blade, and then it had the working bowl that goes on top of the stem, the lid, and then there's a little pusher that goes on top of it. So there was 2, 3, 4, 5 different parts, and every part sold for about $20 a piece, and I paid $4 for this unit complete with everything that came with it. The bases take a little bit longer to sell. The blade and the working bowl always sell very fast. If you price them fair, they typically don't last a week. This base probably took about 4 to 5 months to sell. The weight and size really gets you. Shipping rates nowadays are ridiculous. I mean, I know that there's some talks going on government-wise that's going to kind of cut out China's huge shipping benefits, discounts that they get, and I'm hoping that's going to trickle down and they're going to start cutting us a break. But we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? All right. Next up, this is a Shure MX418 Microflex condenser microphone, 18-inch. So this I got at a local auction, and I actually bought a pallet with a lot of audio, video stuff, and there was actually 50 of these microphones on that pallet. This is the reason why I bought the pallet, because I wanted the microphones, and surprisingly, I thought I was going to have to pay about $1,000 for it, but I got lucky, and there was only one other guy that was interested in it, and I ended up buying the pallet for about 500 bucks, and I've been selling these things like crazy recently. So as you can see, I got 14 of these left. I had the 412, which is basically the same thing, it's just 12-inch. And I had about 20 of those, and those are all gone already. I priced them a little bit cheaper than these. That's why I think they went faster. But I got 14 of these left, and yeah, this one, they've been listed for about 3 months. I have sold 25 of them. I've got at least 25 of them, and there's 14 of these left available. You'll probably see some more of these in future videos. But overall cost, I probably have, from the pallet itself, I probably have about $5 into this, and it sold for $53.83. Oops, don't do that. All right, this is a Polo Ralph Lauren Royal Blue dad hat. A dad hat is basically the one has a strap in the back, and the top of it is, the shape of it is different. It's more of a rounded, kind of sticks to your forehead or your head, rather than kind of puffing up, that kind of style. So dad hat. Anyhow, we got this at the Goodwill bins, and it is a clothing item that weighs maybe 2 ounces, so I probably have about a quarter into this. Listed it took less than a month to sell, and we sold it for $14.23. Next up, this is a lot of DVDs. Um, I, at one time, DVDs used to be a lot better years ago, and I owned probably 5,000 DVDs. I owned a thrift store. My wife and I owned a thrift store for about 3 years recently, and we used to sell DVDs there for $2 a piece, and then we put them on sale, sell them for $1 a piece. And basically, we took them all down after we closed up our shop, and this is how I've been selling them. I filtered through them and took out any ones that sold for basically $6 or more or $5 or more, and I listed those ones individually. Because I don't typically sell stuff. I try not to sell stuff that low unless it's a wholesale purchase or I have a large quantity, but DVDs are super easy to list. So, it takes me a minute, maybe 2 minutes tops to list it, and I'm gonna make $5 to $6 off of it. 5 to 6 bucks every 2 minutes. I'll do that. So anyhow, these were listed for probably about, I would say, 5 months. They came from my store, which before that probably came out of a storage locker, and which means we probably have about a nickel into each individual one. There's 20 of them, so we probably paid $1 for all of them together, and they sold for $10.06. And on top of that, shipping that was a lot cheaper because you can ship it media mail. Media mail is basically $1 a pound. So definitely take advantage of your shipping options if you're doing regional, flat rates, or media mail. Make sure you do your research on your USPS shipping methods, because you will catch huge breaks. You'll save a ton of money and ship through eBay or PayPal, because you get another huge discount going through those two. All right, it's that time of year. We are in November. Today is November 4th, I believe, and this one sold November 1st. We are selling ugly Christmas sweaters, and this one's pretty epic because it has cats. When it comes to ugly Christmas sweaters, you want to look for the knitted ones. The regular sweater ones, they're good, especially if you got some good characters on there, like these cats. The cats are awesome, but this is also a knitted one. It's modern. It's not a vintage one. I think I saw this at maybe like Walmart or Target recently. Cats are definitely in. They're popular. So this one has actually been listed for a while, probably about 4 or 5 months as well, but I didn't expect it to sell until about this time of year anyways. So this came out, this actually came from a local thrift store, and I think I got it for 50 cents because they were moving all the Christmas stuff. And if it wasn't an XL, I would have kept it for myself. I wear a large personally, but 5 months to sell, got it from a thrift store, paid 50 cents, sold for $13.62. Next up, so if you've watched my videos before, I've told you before about Royal Doulton. Royal Doulton typically makes figurines, but they also make a lot of platery and this type of stuff. So this is a Royal Doulton fruit-themed teapot. Remember to put the model number in there, and you can typically find the model number on the bottom of these things. Let's see if my lister took a picture of the model number. I'm not seeing it, but they're typically on the bottom of all their items. This was a complete set. There was probably 200 pieces of it. It all came out of a storage locker, so I'll probably have about a quarter into it, and decided not to list it all as a whole set because that sounds just like a nightmare to ship. So we parted it all out, and it's been selling bit by bit for about a year now. So this has been listed for a year, but it's sold, and it sold for $30.18. Next up, these are a pair of Callaway golf shoes, loafer style. Loafer style meaning there's no laces, and it's kind of just like a slip-on. So that's a loafer. If you have laces and it's kind of a dressy shoe or something like that, it's an Oxford, and you can get into more details and do your research, or I'll come across more shoes and I can give you a little bit better description. There is another channel on YouTube of a guy that sells strictly shoes, I believe, and his name is Tito. I've never met him personally, but I have seen some of his videos, and I've learned a ton from him on selling shoes. And I think his channel is Tito the Shoe Expert or something like that. I think if you just research Tito and shoes, resell, eBay, something like that, it'll come up. He's very popular on YouTube, but when it comes to shoes, and you want to learn something about shoes, definitely look him up. Don't take too much from me. I do love selling shoes though. These have been listed for about 4 months, and I got these from a local thrift store. I paid $2 for them, and they sold for $13.89. Maybe it said 39 cents. I can't remember. Okay, so this is a DVD. This has been listed for about 4 or 5 months, and I thought this would sell for more. They were selling. I looked at comps when I listed it, and they were selling for about $10, and that's why I decided to list this one. So I'm surprised it went for $4.70, and it took that long to sell. It looked like it was doing much better. This was in very good condition. But either way, it sold. Came from Storage Locker, so about 5 cents into it. And yeah. Next up. All right, these are a pair of women's Born leather slip-on loafers. That's wrong. That's wrong right there. That should not say loafers because these are laced. Anyhow, they kind of look like Sperry's, which are boat shoes. The Sperry's sell very well. Boat shoes sell very well. These were in great condition. They're very clean. Almost no wear on the bottom sole. And I got these from a Goodwill recently. I think it might have even been in a haul video. And I paid $3.99 for them, and they took about, let's say, about 3 weeks to sell. All right, this is let me see if I say this right. It's a Mamiya Seeker 1000 DTL 35mm camera body only. So the reason why I say camera body only is because if you look here on the side, there is no lens attached to it. And the reason for this is it's a decent camera. It's a vintage camera. It's older, but a lot of the times when you find these older cameras, the lens itself can be worth quite a bit more than the camera, because the lenses can interchange into other cameras, and I don't know how much the technology has changed on some of these lenses. So I got this out of a storage locker maybe about 8 months ago, and there was probably 700 cameras or more or less. I don't know, there was a lot. It was a huge storage locker just full of camera and camera accessories. I believe it was a camera repair shop, and everything, they must have closed down, or it was all their bag stock or something like that. So this came out of there. We looked up the lens and we looked up the camera. We looked up the camera and the lens together and decided that the best way to go would be to sell the camera and the lens separate. So this has been listed for about, I would say, 6 to 8 months, and it sold for $17.46, and I likely have about a quarter into it. Next up, this is a Titleist golf hat. We got this at the Goodwill bins, probably paid about 5 to 10 cents for it. It has been listed for about 2 months and sold for $7.87. This also came out of that camera locker. And this also helped me lead to believe that it was a camera store or a camera shop or something like that, because there was about 5 boxes full of film in there, and there were some good ones. I had a box that had Polaroid film in it. Polaroid film is film that you definitely want to look out for, expired or not, doesn't matter. As long as it's sealed, you can sell it. And there was about 25 boxes of this old Polaroid camera film, and I sold every box of the Polaroid film for about $50 a box, and it was one listing with a quantity, so it was a great find, very exciting. So this is a Fuji 200 speed film 4-pack. It expired in 2010. It has been listed for about 6 to 8 months and sold for $4.77. Next up, this is a Nikon Nikkor 50 millimeter camera lens. This also came out of that camera locker and took about 6 to 8 months to sell, and sold for $30.72. Make sure you guys check these and test these, because some of the people that buy cameras and camera lenses are very particular about things. You want to be very descriptive on them, and a big thing is checking the aperture, and the aperture is the little mechanism on the inside that opens and closes to make your sight through it bigger or smaller. And testing that, I mean, it's pretty simple. It needs to react extremely quickly. If it's delayed, if you check it and it closes and it's like half a second delayed or a fraction of a second delayed, then the aperture is off, and you want to note that in your description. Other things you want to check through the lens to make sure it's clean and there's not any debris inside. You want to make sure that there's no scratches on there. And then if you put it up to a light, right around the edges, if there's like any type of like squiggly lines or anything like that on the inside, that is fungus, and that is common with these camera lenses. And it can be cleaned out. You can take these lenses apart and you can clean them out and you can get rid of the fungus and stuff like that. So, but the people buying these lenses, they don't want that. They don't want to open them up. They don't want to clean them out, anything like that. But from my understanding, if you take them into a camera repair shop, I've never taken any of my stuff in there. I just kind of note it all in the description. They'll clean them up and they can repair them for fairly cheap if you find a good shop. So, but keep an eye out for all that sort of stuff when you're selling cameras and camera accessories. Camera people are very picky. Next up, Tour Edge Exotic EX9 Hybrid Head Cover. So I pick these golf head covers up a lot because I can get them really cheap. I either get them at our bins for less than a nickel or a dime, or there's a couple of local thrift stores that I go to locally in my area where I get them for a quarter a piece, and sometimes I've found them at the Goodwills, and they'll throw them into a big bag and they'll put $4.99 on them, and there'll be 10 of them in there. And they typically sell for about $10 to $15 up to $20 depending on the club head. Not all of them have value. You definitely want to check the condition, and but they can go up if you find some of those better brands like Nike or Titleist or Callaway or Ping or something like that. This is kind of an off-brand. I'm not really familiar with it, but I had quite a bit of these. I bought this one itself and in a bag at the Goodwill, so there was about 10 of them in there. Paid about $5, and I've been selling them all for about $10 a piece. So this one was listed for about 5 to 6 months and sold for $8.94. Next up, this is an HP power adapter. I sell a lot of power supplies or AC units. Not AC, I'm sorry. AC adapters. AC units. Man, that'd be tough to ship, huh? Anyhow, AC adapters, power supplies, that sort of stuff. I sell a lot of these. I get them from a local auction, or I get them from the bins, or anywhere I can get them if I can get them for less than $1. Uh, this one in particular, not really sure where I got it, but I probably have less than $1 into it, or $1 into it. Anytime I see HP on one, I know it's a good one. Not all of them sell for for great prices. Not all of them sell, so definitely look them up. They're easy to look up because they all have a model number, and right there you'll see it right there. HP part number 384021-001. So put in the HP, put in the model number, look up your solds, and it'll tell you. And you can compare them to how many are listed and how many have sold, and you can get your sales ratio or your sell-through rate. So this one, it's hard to tell how long I've had this one listed because I probably have about 400 AC adapters and power supplies listed. So I'm not really sure how long this was listed for. I probably picked it up for about $1 and it sold for $6.82. Next up, here we have a new without tags. That's what NWOT stands for, new without tags. Swiss Gear backpack, 20-inch, and it's a laptop backpack, which means it's got a compartment for a laptop in there that's padded on both sides. This here we got from an online auction, and I actually purchased a pallet of these. They were new and used. They were all mixed up. They came from a school. A school decided to buy every kid in school these Swiss Gear backpacks, which are not cheap backpacks. They're pricey backpacks. They're good backpacks though, very durable. But it turned out to not work out very well for the school, so they ended up getting them all back from the students by the end of the year, and they sold them all off, and they didn't do it again. I was able to purchase one of the pallets of backpacks. I paid $123 for the pallet, and there was about 125 backpacks on the pallet. It sounds like a phenomenal deal, which it was, but not all the backpacks were sellable. Some of them were in very, very bad condition, and I had to go through and process all of them. I had to take stuff out of all of them. I had to wash almost all of them, and there was only about 10 or 11 that were new backpacks, and this was one of them. We're getting about $15 here for the newer ones, and then I have ones that are in very good condition, and then another one that we put in that was in good condition. The rest of them we just redonated, which was about, I think, about 40 of them were, I would say, were not sellable. So I have about $1 into this one, $1 to $1.40 into this one, and it sold for $14.77. Took about 2 months to sell. Next up, this is a pair of older vintage Levi's. We should have put vintage in the title. It probably would have helped them sell faster. There's actually a lot we should have put in this title. This is one of my listers did this, and I'm seeing something now that could have been put in there. And that is the fact that if you noticed here, the tag right there on the side of the jeans by the right back pocket, that tab is orange. That's an orange tab, which they made in the late 70s and in the 80s, which kind of dates it a little bit. You can't date it exactly. There's probably a tag on the inside, but it doesn't look like he took a picture of it. But it is these are vintage 80s, I would say 80s Levi's distressed jeans. I believe that if he would have put vintage and orange tab in the title, we probably would have gotten closer to $20 for these jeans. But I got these at the Goodwill bins. I paid about $2 for them, and they took about 3 months to sell for $8.83. And that's another thing. If they would have been listed properly, they probably would have sold within a month. Next up, this is an AGFA Ansco Regent 35mm camera made in Germany. This came out of that wonderful camera locker and was listed for 6 to 8 months and sold for $14.02. Cool camera though. I mean, I would have thought it would have sold for more because of the character and, you know, collectors out there, but maybe it's just not that rare. I just thought it was neat though. I picked this one because I kind of wanted everyone to see this camera and how neat it looked. Next up, this is another AC adapter. So it doesn't have to be a branded AC adapter. This one is unbranded, basically meaning, well, it's generic, but it has no maker. It just says made. It has a model number. It says where it's made. It's made in China, and that's it. And you know, it's got its specs. You know, 120 volt input, 6 volt output, and that's another thing that you want to put in your title. Is I would say more importantly is the 6 volt output, because you don't want to go over your voltage, because then you can start blowing up or burning up your electronics. I think it's I better not even say that. I was gonna okay, so I think if you go under the output, it's not as bad. It's not going to work as well, but I don't think it's as dangerous. But I could be wrong, so don't do it. Anyhow, like I said, I got a lot of AC adapters, so this one could be listed for a year. Who knows? I typically won't list them if I look them up and they're not selling, though. I typically will recycle them for their copper. So this one sold for $5.09, and with a price range right there, I probably picked it up from the bins or got it from one of my auctions, so I probably have less than a quarter into it. Next up, we have a Led Zeppelin green tie-dye t-shirt. This is one of our old backdrops, very old backdrops, so this has probably been listed for more than, I would say, 8 months, and this came out of a storage locker, so I have about a quarter or less into it, and it sold for $13.50. Alright, and if you've seen any of my videos, you've seen these before. This goes to a cordless home phone or office phone. It's a Panasonic base cradle, and it has the AC adapter to it. So this has been listed for about 2 to 3 months. I get these at my Goodwill bins. So I have about, from weight, I probably have about 20 cents into this. And I list these in lots. You can see that there's still some available. So I know it's not selling for much, but I do list them in lots of 3, 4, 5, and sometimes up to 10 if I can, if I find 10 at a time, which I have. So it definitely makes the listing more profitable because you're only making one listing with numerous quantity. So took a couple months to sell, paid less than paid about a quarter, and sold for $6.27. Next up, this is HP 15 ink, brand new sealed, and I don't believe this one had an expiration date, and it's probably because it's this Office Max brand, and sometimes they don't put expiration dates on their inks. If you do find expired ink, don't be afraid to list it and put in detail that it is expired or the sell-by date is passed. It doesn't matter. They still sell. Just as long as you let them know that the package is still airtight sealed. So another thing though with this, you don't want to put, the way I put this, brand new sealed, replaced black ink cartridge. I would have done this differently. I would have put you know, the HP 15 ink up front rather than putting all this stuff up front. I would have put that in the back end of it. Another thing, I'm not 100% sure. HP stands for Hewlett Packard, the computer brand, and that is a well, I don't know if you can put HP on here. So I don't know if I was supposed to sell it this way, because if you put HP or Hewlett Packard on one of these off-brand inks like this one here, which is an Office Max ink, they will remove it. And if you do it too many times, your account will get suspended. So I probably should have put Office Max on in the title. I don't know if I made this listing or one of my listers did, but this is one of my backdrops. Anyhow, yeah, be careful using HP if it's not HP ink, like certified HP ink. This is a secondhand ink. I don't know if it's refurbished or if Office Max makes this themselves. But be careful with your wording. And the few other things you want to be careful for, not just HP, using the HP wording with Office Max, but things like OtterBox. If you can't sell used OtterBoxes, because OtterBox doesn't allow it. I believe you can sell them new. The word onesie for the baby outfits, like the one-piece outfits, you can't use that. You got to find a different word, because onesie is trademarked and they'll pull your listing and you could get in trouble for it. Another big one is Velcro. Don't use Velcro. So if you find any type of tactical clothing or the shoes that have the Velcro strap or whatever, you can't use the word Velcro in it unless you were like a certified wholesaler or you got approval through Velcro. You're gonna have to use a different word. So anyhow, this took about 2 months to sell. I paid 50 cents for it, and it sold for $6.42 after all my rambling. So this is my last one, and this is kind of a generic off-brand TrueTech TV DVD combo remote control. I probably paid about 25 cents for this. I have a few places that I get my remotes from, but I typically don't pay more than a couple quarters for them. And this one was listed for about 5 months, and it took, listed for about 5 months, and it sold for $12.36. Just because the remote isn't like a Panasonic or Sony or something like that, because this one's definitely like a generic type DVD combo. It's not a super name brand. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't look it up. It should still sell. The only ones that really I don't recommend are your cable services, cable or satellite services remotes, because you can get those free replaced through your providers by just calling them and telling them that your remote took a dump on you, and they'll actually send you a new one for nothing. And the resale value on them is very bad. So stay away from those ones, but definitely still look up your generic ones like these and any other ones, especially your receivers, your VCRs, your DVD players, or your DVD VHS combos. But that's all I got for you for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you all took something from it, and you can carry that on to your reselling. And overall, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening and checking me out. If you don't mind, hit that like button. I do appreciate it. It helps me to get my videos out there, and it's definitely encouraging to make more videos. If y'all have any thoughts or anything like that you would like to see or would like to know about reselling or products or anything like that, please don't be afraid to put a message in the comments. I'm pretty good about getting back to you, so go ahead and fire away. We'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in again, and good night.